Welcome back to Long Delays Hobbies. Today I'm going to be showing you how I painted up the new Wild Man Oathmaker. This model was part of the Hill Tribesman Commander set that was recently released. Alternatively, you can build this sculpt as a Hill Tribesman Chieftain. And before I do any painting, I started off by priming the miniature using Vallejo Hobby Paint Black Primer, which is to ensure that I had a nice smooth base coat to work with. And with our primer in place, let's get into it. I started off by base coating the tunic of the model with some Rhinox hide. The next thing I did was paint up the arm and leg wrappings, as well as the belt. For that, I used Steel Legion Drab. I chose that kind of lighter brown color to contrast with another brown that I'm going to be painting at a later stage. Now, like all of the Hill Tribesman models, the Oathmaker has got some kind of a sash or stole that goes over his shoulder. I wanted that sash to stand out just a little bit from his tunic, so I painted it Thondia Brown. And when I was finished painting up the sash, I went ahead and used Thondia Brown to paint up the straps that are on the arms and legs of the miniature. To paint the hands and face of the model, I used multiple coats of Cadian Flesh Tone. And to paint the Oathmaker's long, flowing locks of hair, as well as his mustache, I used some Corvus Black. And we're going to paint up his sword now using Vallejo Gunmetal. You could also use something like Lead Belcher or just any silver metallic paint for this part. To base coat the skull on his waist and the little bits of teeth that he's got on his chest, I used Xandri Dust. To paint the rope that goes across his chest, as well as the little bits of stitching that he has that's holding his jerkin together, I used Rakarth Flesh. Last but never least, we can't forget our hero rock. To base coat that, I use Mechanica Standard Gray. And now that we've finished base coating the miniature, we're going to be washing almost all of it with some Agrax Earthshade. And since almost all the miniature is brown, the only thing we're not going to be washing in Agrax Earthshade are going to be little details like the hair, the skin, the skull, the rope, and the sword. Everything else is going to be washed in that Agrax Earthshade. I then used some Reikland Flesh Shade to wash the skin. And to wash the hair, the sword, and the tactical rock, I used some Nuln Oil. And our final washing step is going to be applying some Seraphim Sepia to the bone bits as well as the rope. And while you're waiting for that to dry, if you're looking for something to do, try to say Seraphim Sepia 10 times fast. And we're ready to get started with our highlights. We're going to begin by using some Doombull Brown to highlight up all of the Rhinox hide portions of the model. Next up, we're going to highlight the sash and those arm and leg straps using some Gorthro Brown. This is really the step where you can differentiate the sash from the tunic of the miniature, so just make sure that you're taking advantage of all of those nice folds that are sculpted into the sash. I then use some Tallarn sand to highlight the arm and leg wrappings, as well as to pick out some detail out of the belt. Nothing too fancy here, just made sure I had a very small detail brush to ensure that the stitching on that belt stood out. And now we've got to highlight all those lovely locks as well as his mustache with some Eshin Gray. And we need to now highlight up the bony bits of the miniature, so we're going to use Ushepti bone for that. To highlight the skin, we're going to use some Kislev flesh and just apply that just to the knuckles, cheekbones, and other high points of the skin. Finally, we're going to brighten up that technical rock with some Dawnstone. And our Wildman Oathmaker is now ready to go and burn every village. Thank you very much for watching this How I Painted video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. And it would be very generous of you if you click that like and subscribe button on the way out. And most importantly, don't forget to have a great day. Take care.